Hi everybody, another watch list, my weekly rundown of what I've been watching and what I've been up to. And this week 5 more films with which to talk about, somewhere in the region of what I would call interest in cinema, or hopefully talking about films that not everybody is talking about. And to that effect, let's start with a label that probably I talk about maybe more or as much as anybody that really does talk about this label, and that is Second Run. And they have a new release out, and I got the chance to review it actually as it goes, so I have a written review. I'll actually stick the link down in the description if you want to read the written review. But it is a Hungarian film from 1975 by Marta Metszáros, and it is Adoption. Now, Adoption, as many Second Run films are thought pieces. They're very much in the idea of having a theme, showing it out on screen, and then seeing how it plays through. And this one is very much about the thought of a woman that's reaching, well, let's say the biological clock is ticking on her. She can feel it's ticking on her, and she wants to have a child. Now, she doesn't want to just have a child for the sake of having a child. She wants one born out of love. Except her life's quite complicated. She is a woman that is the mistress. She is having an affair for a long period of time with a married man, and she's quite happy with that. She knows her place, she loves this man, and she does want to have a child with this man, but doesn't expect him to have ultimate responsibility for this child, for looking after. And I think that very uncomplicated look at it is a very crystal clear and unjudgmental way to start this premise off, because you could take this film down all of the different avenues of, well, is it right to be the mistress? Is it right to have a child out of wedlock with somebody else? It could have been quite complicated in that, but to the film's credit, it never does that or never goes there. What it does is explore her relationships or maternal relationships that come afterwards. Shortly afterwards, she meets a young girl by the name of Anna, who realises that this woman lives by herself and offers her money so that she can basically hook up with her boyfriend that she's been meeting for a while. For she lives in an institute, a local institute, where she is looked after by the state. Their rules are very close. It's all females together. She can't have the opportunity to just meet them. It is not just about hookups or about the foolishness of youth. It is very much about her making a connection with somebody else that is outside that relationship, or former relationships with her family who are actually still alive and have just basically given up on her. She wants to build personal positive relationships, and initially our main character says no, but starts to get to know the girl and starts to form a relationship with this girl where she basically becomes mother, or at least an advocate for her. So anything that she wants to do to change in her life, i.e. get married to this boy, she will, see if she can help out or otherwise. Now, I've only told you the first half of the movie there, but it gives you a sense of some of the themes that are in here and the explorations of that and where that ends up, because Adoption is an absolutely brilliant and beautifully shot movie. It's 1975 it's made in, and it is, shot in monochrome. I can't imagine this film in colour. That kind of cold look at how this plays out and these characters seems to fit very well. And Marta Metszáros has a season going up in BFI where they're going to showcase some of her movies. And it's interesting because she was one of the foremost female directors that were around at the infancy, around the time of Anya Svarda. They were two of them were around at the same time and making films for that long. And she's never talked about, you never hear about Marta. She's still making movies to this day. There's even interviews with her, recent interviews with her from this year, older interviews from about 20 years ago in there as well. And you can see the progression and how she talks about how being a female has made a difference to her life, how it influenced her filmmaking, and even things like how easy was it to get funding for films as a female film director. Another absolutely brilliant release by Second Run. I can't say enough good things about the output that this company does. For me, they are about as important a label as I have. So the things that drop through my letterbox every month, Second Run is one of the first that I'll go grab. If there's a review copy coming up, I'll definitely go and grab that, because I would be the advocate for that label, and I'm very well aware that they're really not for everybody. If I had seen many of these films 10 years ago, whatever, wouldn't have made any sense to them. But as you get older and you start to ruminate on certain things about life, etc., you kind of come to appreciate certain things that you didn't otherwise. So if you know you're a fan of that type of film, I mean, you know what to do. Rent it if you want to, but another hearty recommendation. Next up is a recent BFI release, and one that I wasn't sure whether I was going to pick up. It's a silent movie from 1929. It's a British silent film from 1929, making it all the more unusual, but it's just received a new restoration by BFI, and that is Piccadilly. And Piccadilly is a film by E.A. Dupont and stars Anna May Wong as the title character here, although, you know, it's a while before she appears actually in the movie. It tells the story of a club with a dancer, and a male and female dancer that are making the club very successful. The female who's in the club starts up a relationship with the club owner or the club manager, and so much so that she gets a lot of the attention, and the male act feels like he's the talent but has had enough and he leaves, and the club starts to hit in hard times as the female dancer by herself isn't pulling in the crowds. And the manager looks around, and during one of the periods walks down to the kitchens and he sees Anna May Wong dancing. Everybody stopped work in the restaurant at the time to watch her dance, and he remembers this and he goes back to it and tries to hire her as a dancer. And this is quite controversial because you've got Mabel, who is the female there, who's having a relationship with the manager. He feels threatened by this. You have Anna May Wong that is basically from a very poor background. You know, she's a large family that lives with her. She's a boyfriend that is there, etc. And she's been swept up in all this glitz and glory. She's been shown as the star of the show. New outfits bought. She tries to, you know, share the wealth with everybody, tries to put it around, and that's what the film kind of is about. Now, the film is probably a bit long. I think it drags for some parts of it in the middle of it. I think there are, in typical silent film style, there are the text cue cards that come in, but they seem to elongate some of the non-cue card sequences too much, and I think it drags out the film a bit too much. But overall, you know, I'm a fan of silent film cinema. I like to see things that are stories that are told in this way. I like how these are representations, but the thing that's utterly astonishing is the restoration in this. I mean, it sort of looks like a film that was shot last week with a sepia tone over the sometimes. Now, there are other parts of the film that haven't come out quite as well. The film definitely shows its age, but there are other parts of the film where you just go, oh my god, what the hell? How does this look this good for a film of this age? And you have to really credit the BFI and the restoration job and the time and the effort and the love that's went into this, as many of the releases have done the past year. I'm a big fan of BFI. If anybody has been watching the channel, I tend to pick up kind of everything to do and kind of treat them a bit like Criterion for the UK. And doing that, you get this incredible new soundtrack that I think works great with it. Gives it a real jazzy feel, gives it a real standout sense of style in it, and Anna May Wong is just terrific in the main role throughout, and you know, the performances are excellent throughout. It is an excellent release. If you can get through some of the slower sequences, you'll think fondly of this film, I think, in retrospect, although it may depend on your familiarity with silent cinema in general, and whether you've got exposed to that or not. Loads of great extras in it. I mean, there's critiques of the film of Anna May Wong. There is a piece on the music restoration that they did, and then there is a little short film about London at that time. Just another stacked, pretty much incredible release from BFI, and you know, I didn't mind paying full price for it. If you're not, or sitting a bit more on the fence and sign a film, it might be one you want to wait for a sale on. But yeah, really enjoyed that. Next one up for me was, well, my first journey into a new box set that I received, and that is the Arrow Video Years of Lead set that came through. It is these 5 films that are in the Politiceschi. Probably didn't say that right, but we're going to move on and pretend like I nailed it. Yeah, the police dramas form of Italian cinema, and I watched the first one, and that is Savage 3, that shows Joe D'Alessandro in the title character as a man who's a bit bored of work. He's got intelligence, he's got looks, he's got smarts, but he's just a bit bored, and in a bit of a jump forward of I don't know, many famous movies in America, he decides, along with some few friends, to dip their toes into crimes. They start off by setting off a riot in a football stadium, and then run away and leave more than a man is killed and many are injured. And this starts off as a chain and cycle of violence and of crimes that they keep on perpetrating against other people for no other reason than they want to. That is quite difficult to watch, I think, sometimes, you know, just kind of mindless violence. Some of it is very, very graphic. Some of it are just, you know, par for the course. I've seen it many times since. And all in the background has this kind of rockish, kind of proggy soundtrack going in the background. I actually think that every time the main tune came on, I was kind of like, right, here we go again. They're hopping in a car and away they go. On the background, they work, the three men who are perpetrating all work in this kind of like this factory where they are, you know, do experiments with computers, and they've got a computer the size of the room that probably is way less powerful than their phones, etc. at the moment. And you have a police detective who is on the chase, and we have another police detective who's playing this from all the other angles. They're looking at the people that die and look for the political connections that go through this. I think the whole thing's pretty good. I think in general Italian films of this nature are never 5 out of 5 star films, but they are all solid watches of 3 to 4 stars, somewhere in there in the middle. And I think I rated this as a 3.5. I think they all kind of fit into the same watchability category, and it's a good start. There's a bit of censorship, a bits that are just black screened, that I don't really want to see mice fighting and hurting each other, etc. I'm fine with that, doing that. There are a couple of extras in here. One is an interview with Joe D'Alessandro himself, which is about 40 minutes long, and then you have this retrospective documentary where they interview a lot of the people that made the film in the background, etc. A good start to the set, one that I'm really looking forward to delving back into, and yeah, I'll report back with what I thought of the other films in the set. Good stuff. Next up is a Japanese film. Now, I had reviewed one of this director's films not that long ago, which is Yasuzu Masamura, and I'd reviewed Jansen Toys, and I haven't talked about Jansen Toys on the channel yet. I'll do that in a few weeks' time, because a very similar theme to the one that I just watched the other day, which is Black Test Car. Now, this is a release with Black Test Car and The Black Report. But his films tend to have very similar themes now. I've seen a few of them. They've got some more upcoming ones with, we've got Arizumi has arrived, and Through the Door Blind Beast is coming out the month afterwards. So these releases of Masamura have been hardly well received, let's just say. But Black Test Car tells the story of a car company who have got a new sports model that they are wanting to release, but they're trying to do it in secret. And the other rival companies are producing their own sports cars, and they're kind of competing against each other for price and for, you know, releasing them at the right time, and, you know, the performance and all of that kind of stuff. And it's a film about industrial espionage or underhand dealings within that, and about people wanting to get fame or to receive applause or receive credit for the work that they did. You know, this kind of drive in a capitalist society to be the very top of the tree and to be recognised the very best that you can be. And while that is maybe a premise that has been done many times before, I think these films do them particularly well, because you can kind of see where it's going sometimes. You can see the cost that goes with some of these things. You can see, you know, trying to figure out, it's a bit of a whodunit, who is good, who's bad in this film. And I've enjoyed both Jansen Toys and Black Test Car. Like I say, very similar-ish movies, except this one's shot in monochrome. Jansen Toys is in colour, and it has much more of a cabaret theme to it. But this one is definitely a bit darker in tone and in theme, and it's a pretty good entry point, I think, into this director's work. I mean, this is £10 in the Camp Arrow video sale at the moment. Inside, I did get a booklet, so the booklets are still there with them. I think in general the Camp Arrow video, if it's going to have a booklet, it's going to be £10. I recently released. If it's down to £8, there's going to be no booklet with it, probably, unless you order from HMV. Pro tip. you have a better chance of getting the booklet there because they'll use old stock for that. So that's Black Test Car. Again, similar characters in both Jansen Toys and this, similar actors, and films that I enjoyed. And both films actually have pretty good extras. They've got these critical appreciations on them by Jonathan Robinson, and it takes you through, you know, why these themes were powerful, how one is related to another one, etc. So, good release. I haven't seen their back report yet, but again, I assume it's of a similar nature, and I'll report back if there's anything different about that. And last one this week, well, comes from a label that I've had a number of conversations with some other YouTube friends at the moment, like Into the Blue and Solitary Ronin, about a label that tends to have the surprise really great film in them. You know, you pick up a disc, you usually pick these up for a few pounds, and well, these are sometimes amazing films. And this one is one of those sometimes amazing films. I actually have quite a lot of these releases now because I tend to rent them, find that they're amazing, and then go, well, I have to have that in my collection. And this one is an Argentinian movie, and it is a short story compilation called Wild Tales. Now, Wild Tales is a compilation of a number of short stories of wild tales. Kind of don't know what to say about this because some of them are so short that if I tell you about the story, it kind of ruins the story. So I'll try and pick one. It's the story of a man who's very busy in work, and as always seems to be working for the man, so to speak, but he keeps on getting parking tickets when he feels that he shouldn't be getting car parking tickets, and then a bit of a falling down kind of thing. He starts to get more and more annoyed about this because it doesn't seem like anybody will listen to him or let him appeal what he feels is an injustice. He just has to pay the fine and then appeal it afterwards, and when he goes to appeal it afterwards, nothing happens. And these films are just utterly fantastic. Utterly fantastic. We have, you know, they definitely have a Pedro Almodovar vibe about them, so if you're a fan of his, unsurprisingly, he's one of the producers, obviously helped fund it. They definitely have a feel of his, even though when he speaks in the extras here, he basically says he didn't really have much influence. The script came to him, the footage came to him, he kind of went, wow, this is brilliant, and there's no doubt it is absolutely brilliant. Damien Chiffron is the director and writer of this, and I mean, I think some of the quotes in the back of this kind of put it quite well. Preposterous, violent, blackly funny, and an absolute cracker is pretty much nailed this release because it's absolutely brilliant. It's the kind of thing I want to put on for somebody else to sit and watch the reaction as some of the stuff plays out on the screen, at how ridiculous it is, how darkly funny it is, and how well made and ingenious and smart it all is. And that is Wild Tales. I think I picked this up for about £6.50. That's kind of Artificial Eye. You know, there are some extras in this, and other ones maybe less so, but this one is a pretty good release, and one that I definitely think you should pick up. So that's my watch list for this week. I hope you got something out of that, and had some good recommendations. Again, some things that I'm saying waiting for sale, but I enjoyed, and then other things that I'm saying, you know, just utterly fabulous. Let me know what you've been watching this week. Let me know if you've seen any of these films, and I'll catch you next time on the watch list. Take care.